How's it going, everybody? My name is Absalom and welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing the solo Easter egg guide for Ancient Evil, and here is one of two loadouts that I like to use. As for my other loadout, I will replace Victorious Tortoise with PhD Slider, as this will help when you're using the Helion Salvo. As for everything else, I like to keep that the same. The elixirs seem to work best with solo. Okay, so now let's get straight into this with the very first step. So I like to go the first 3 or 4 rounds just to build points, and then you buy your way to the amphitheater, and then you can activate the Sentinel artifact. Zombies are going to spawn in rapidly, and it's up to you if you want to survive or shoot, but either way, Pegasus will enter the scene and end the trial. After that, you'll get a max ammo, and now you're on to the next part. At this point, I like to do a bunch of things like collect the golden bridle, build the shield, collect any of the dormant hands on this side of the map, and then I also like to start upgrading the Chimera hand. For all of these things I just mentioned, I have linked complete guides below so that you can get this done pretty easily. After all that, now you want to make your way to Pack-a-Punch and go ahead and complete the trial to open up Pack-a-Punch, and again, I've linked a complete guide for Pack-a-Punch in case you don't know how to do this. Once Pack-a-Punch is done, you are now done with the very first step of the Easter egg, and here's a checklist that I've made before going on to the next step. I recommend getting all of these things before starting your trials, that way you are completely set up. So this includes getting all the hands upgraded except for Gaia, opening Pack-a-Punch, the shield, and your gun of choice. I've linked complete guides on how to upgrade every single hand, even Gaia, in the description below. Now, if you've done all these things and you're ready, now make your way back to the Temple of Apollo, activate the bolt underneath the Oracle, and she's going to give you a trial. Now, you're going to need to complete about roughly 10 of these trials in order to get 1 legendary and 1 epic. The way this works is as you complete the trials, your reward will be upgraded from classic to rare to legendary and then epic. Once you get to epic, then you have to make your way back to the Temple of Apollo and you can redeem your reward. Once redeemed, now start your next trial and then you'll have to redeem it again. So here's a look at the reward tracker that'll be on the left side of the screen so you'll know when to redeem it. Now head back to the Temple of Apollo and redeem your reward by interacting with the bowl, and you'll notice that the fire inside the cauldron will start to turn more blue. As you redeem more rewards, it'll start to turn more and more blue until eventually the entire thing will be solid blue. Now you need to go get your shield and then make your way back to the cauldron, melee it, and then your spear will be on fire. Now you can start to ignite the beacons by running over to 3 different spots on the map. The first one here is in Upper Roads on top of that rock. The second one is in the Spartan Monument on this half wall. And you'll notice that when you melee it, it'll turn on fire. The third location is right here in Intersection of Treasuries on that wall, and once it's on fire, your screen will shake and you'll know that you've completed this step. You should also notice the giant beam of light coming in from the ceiling, which is another way of knowing that you've completed this step correctly. Now for this next step, you will need the upgraded Hand of Charon, which you should have already, but in case you didn't, don't forget I linked a complete guide on how to do this in the description below. Now make your way back to the Spartan Monument and using your upgraded Hand of Charon, shoot a fully charged shot at the ground and your screen will turn black and white. Now you should notice that one of the statues will have glowing blue eyes. Shoot a single shot into the statue until it breaks and then repeat until you've done 4 statues. You might have to shoot another fully charged shot at the ground because it might run out of time. However, once your screen shakes, you'll know that you've done this step correctly and now you're on to the next step, which is align the citizens. For this one, take your gun and break the wall in Intersection of Treasuries as I'm showing you, and now you're going to take your spear and you're going to throw it at this small gear as it passes the bigger gear. You'll know it's done correctly when your spear sticks out of the wall and the gears stop in motion. Now make your way to the Spartan Monument where the second one is located right here on this wall and do the exact same thing. The third one is in the Intersection of Treasuries on the back side of this little building, and again just throw your spear when the small gear hits the bigger gear. Once all 3 spears are sticking out of the wall and all 3 gears are stopped, now you're on to the last part, which is going to be actually aligning the citizens. What you have to do here is make your way to the Stoa of Athenians where you're going to notice this crystal and there's going to be a giant gear behind it. You're going to want to wait for all 3 statues to be facing inward and then you're going to throw your spear at the big gear. I've tried to time it on my screen so that you can kind of see when I throw it. However, you'll know you've done it correctly if your screen vibrates and shakes and then you'll see the crystal rise up and then all the light beams will intersect with it. Now get the Hand of Gaia and make your way to the Offering of the Attalids, and then you're going to shoot this vine on the wall. You'll know you've done it correctly when the next set of vines will spawn on this wall, and then after that you're going to have to shoot one more set of vines which will spawn right here. Shoot the middle one, and then you'll know you've done it correctly when the mini-boss spawns in on top of this roof. Once he spawns in, now you need to take him over to the Intersection of Treasuries, where you're going to notice this Ankh is sticking out of the crystals. You need to get him to do his stun attack on the Ankh in order to break it out of the crystal. I recommend shooting him in his chest and his weak spot in order to get him to do this attack. This can be very frustrating, but I found it is a lot easier when you shoot him in his chest. Now just interact with the Ankh and then bring it back to Ra, place it in his hand, and then he's going to raise up his other arm, signaling that you're now ready to get the scepter. Before moving on, we're going to have to do the other half of this step, so go ahead and kill your mini-boss, and then he's going to drop a staff that you need to go ahead and pick up. Once you've picked up the staff, now make your way back to the Offering of the Attalids, where you're going to notice this giant sundial on the floor. Go ahead and interact with the middle and place the staff down in the middle, and then now at this point you're going to need to get an electric zombie. Kill the electric zombie on top of the sundial, and you'll notice that one of the panels will open up. Now you're looking for a blue symbol, and you're going to try to time it with the electric line that is on top of the sundial. So the best strategy for this is to count the spaces in between where the open panel is and where the electric line is, and then just every time you see a symbol, count that number of spaces, and then eventually you'll hit interact on top of the sundial, stopping the blue symbol on top of the electric line. You'll have to repeat this entire process 3 times, and on each phase it will get a little bit quicker. For solo, I recommend waiting till the end of the round because it's a lot easier to do these symbols whenever you don't have a bunch of zombies. When all 3 symbols are blue and the staff lowers into the sundial, you'll know that you've done this correctly, and now at this point, before moving on, I recommend pulling the Helion Salvo from the box because this is going to make it so much easier. Once you're ready, now make your way back to the gymnasium bathhouse, and you're going to start the Scepter step. In the top right corner, I've listed out the things I recommend having before starting the step because this is hands down the hardest step to do in solo in the entire Easter egg. So the way this works is you get the upgraded hand of Chimera, you give it to Ra, in which case the light beam is going to start to shoot through the room. Skeletons are going to try to block the light, and it's your job to kill all the skeletons in order for the light to burn a hole through the wall. Now the best strategy I've found for this is to buy the trap on your way in, throw a monkey, give your hand of Chimera to Ra, the light beam's going to start, then you want to throw another monkey, then you want to use your rocket to kill everything that you can at that point, and then a Blightfather is going to spawn in, and at that point I recommend using your specialist, killing everything you can, but don't really worry about the Blightfather because like I said, the skeletons are the most important thing, and the Blightfather is not going to really be that much of an issue. Anyways, once you've completed this, you'll notice the wall will break open, and then you'll be able to interact with the scepter, and then you just need to give it back to Ra. This will complete this step, and you'll notice that Ra will laser into this pool, and then it'll rise up a giant mirror. Now you're on to the next steps. You need to get any hand that you want. I recommend getting the hand of Aronos and then make your way to the amphitheater. You'll notice a colored circle on the floor. You just need to stand inside of this and it's going to start the next step. Now, this is a super easy step and it is a ton of fun, so I hope you enjoy this step as much as I did. So essentially you're putting on a show inside the amphitheater, so you just need to go stand inside of your spotlight, and then you're going to single shot or charge shot different types of zombies. So the way this works is if they spawn inside of the stands, you'll single shot them, and if they spawn on the stage, then you want to charge shot them. You'll have to complete 3 different phases of the spotlights, and then once you've done it correctly, your screen is going to turn black and white, in which case you need to go back to the beginning, stand inside of your colored circle, and that'll complete phase 1. There's 3 phases in total. The first phase has 3 spotlights, the second has 4, and the third phase has 5 spotlights. If you're doing this with a team, then everybody's going to have their own color according to which gauntlet they have, and that's the spotlights they need to go to. If you fail this, you will have 5 attempts per round, and you will have to start at the very beginning. You don't have to worry about ammo because it will replenish your ammo at the end of each phase, or if you run out entirely. So after completing the third phase, your screen's going to flash white, and then a max ammo and about 2,500 points is going to drop for your team. Now you're on to the final step, which is cleanse the center, so make your way back to the River of Sorrows, and you're going to have to input these symbols on a wall. I will show you the wall exactly that I'm talking about, but I just wanted to go over these symbols and explain how this works. So these are the symbols in the correct order that you need to shoot, and they will be the same every single game. But you can use any gun you'd like as long as it's not a wonder weapon or the rocket launcher or anything like that. You just get a normal gun, and the best strategy I've found is to trade in your gauntlet, buy the cheapest gun. There's the Spitfire, there's the Vapor right beside this wall. Buy that, shoot these symbols, and then go back and get your gauntlet. This will save you a lot of time, and you don't have to waste one of your weapons. When you shoot the symbol, it will light up blue, so you'll know that you've done it correctly if it is blue. So once you've shot all 6 in a row, it's going to trigger a cutscene that is exclusive to Bruno and Shaw. If you're not playing as one of these characters, then tough luck, you don't get to see the cutscene, even if you're in solo. Okay, so now I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. So I've traded in my gauntlet, I bought the Vapor, and now I'm going to make my way over to this wall. The wall you're looking for is right here to the right of the fast travel, and you'll notice all these symbols on it. So right there, I shoot the first 2 symbols, they light up blue, and you might have to do a couple laps in order to do this in solo, but either way, just shoot your 6 symbols in the correct order, and if done correctly, you'll be able to interact with the wall and trigger the cutscene, or if you're not playing as one of those characters, it's just going to simply be done with this step. Now for your convenience, I've linked the photo of the symbols in the description below so that you can reference this in-game. Now that you're done with that, go ahead and build the Pegasus Strike, and again, if you don't know how to do this, I've linked a complete guide on how to do this in the description below. Now taking your Pegasus Strike, make your way back over to the River of Sorrows, and at this point you're going to notice the Pegasus symbol will spawn on top of the floor, and it's the exact same one from when you rode Pegasus earlier in the game. Now you just want to activate your Pegasus Strike on top of this symbol, and then Pegasus is going to come in, and then he's going to spawn in this giant crossbow. So at this point you were so close to being done with the Easter egg and ready for the boss fight. Once the crossbow rises up out of the ground, now you just need to go ahead and get your Hand of Aronos, and then you can make your way back to the crossbow. Using the Hand of Aronos, use a charge shot to shoot the gear on the crossbow. It's going to move it to the right just a little bit each time you activate it. You can run and shoot it from any kind of angle you want as long as you are using a charge shot. Once the crossbow is completely moved over to the right, you'll notice that it is ready to be loaded, and then you are onto the last part. Now make your way back to the other half of the map. If you don't have a shield, you will need a shield for this next part. But taking your shield now, make your way back to the temple, and where that cauldron of fire is that you meleeed earlier, you're going to do the exact same thing by lighting your spear on fire. Once it's on fire, now make your way back to the other half of the map, and you'll see an acid trap to the right of Pack-a-Punch. You need to buy this trap and then run through the trap with your fire spear. I also want to mention if you put away your shield at any point, this will negate this whole step, and you'll have to start over. But once you have your fire spear and it's covered in acid, melee the crossbow and it's going to light it on fire with green fire, and it's going to shoot the lady in the head, causing her head to light on green fire. Now you've cleansed the center, and now you're ready for the boss fight. Before entering this, I recommend getting completely set up by getting Pack-a-Punch weapons fully, your perks, a shield, and everything else you think you might need for this boss fight. Now this boss fight is set up in 3 different islands, and you can travel between the islands. Now the way this boss fight works is that there's actually 2 bosses. First, you're going to fight Pegasus, and then you will fight the son of Hercules. In order to fight Pegasus, you need to use your gauntlet and shoot Pegasus as he's flying over. Eventually, he'll be damaged enough, turn this lava-colored orange, and at this point, you need to use your specialist in order to do damage to him. After you've done enough damage to him, he's going to fly up in the air, and a heads up, he will start zapping electricity everywhere, so you will need to evacuate the island at which you're damaging him on. Also, once you're done damaging him, he will spawn into max ammo, so don't forget to grab that on one of the other islands. After you've done about 3 rounds of damage on Pegasus, the son of Hercules is going to blow up one of the islands, and then you'll have only 2 islands left. This will signify that you were done with phase 1, and you'll have to do this one more time. So again, damage Pegasus 3 more phases, and then the second island is going to blow up. At that point, Pegasus is done, and you are on to the second boss. Some things to know about this entire boss fight is that the Helion Salvo will actually lock onto Pegasus, so you don't actually need your specialist, and it will also lock onto the main boss as well. So a good strategy in solo is to use your specialist the first time you hurt Pegasus, and then while you're building up your specialist for the next round, you can use your Helion Salvo and then just keep alternating between the salvo and your specialist. So here's what it looks like when you've completed phase 2 and the second island blows up, and you are on to the final phase. Now at this point, Pegasus is completely out of the picture, and you are on to fighting the son of Hercules. Now this is where the real boss fight starts, and it actually gets a little bit harder because you are confined to one island. Now this boss works essentially the exact same as Pegasus, except instead of flying around the map, he will teleport from the middle to your platform, and that's when you'll be able to deal damage. Once he's on the platform, shoot about 2 rockets in him, and he's going to turn this lava color orange again, and again just use your specialist or the Helion Salvo in order to do damage to him. You can also use your gauntlets like you did on Pegasus in order to turn him into this lava colored orange. In between his teleports to the platform, he will spawn in every kind of enemy that you possibly can imagine, so just a heads up, keep an eye out for all the other enemies as you're fighting the boss. Now he's not really that much stronger than Pegasus at this point, and it will take about 3 or 4 different phases in order to eventually kill him. In solo, it's a good idea to have the homunculuses in order to keep the zombies off you while you damage the boss, and it's also a good idea because you won't be wasting any ammo on the other zombies because you won't really be getting a max ammo during this part. There is a chance that the Oracle will grant you a max ammo in whichever gun you're holding, so if you're running low on your rocket launcher, I recommend just holding that out when you get to the last few bullets because the Oracle will refill that weapon. So just keep damaging the boss until eventually he'll turn a solid color, and then that's when you'll know that he's officially dead. So just sit back and wait for him to despawn, and he's going to drop the Oracle key that you will need to interact with in order to end this Easter egg. Also just a heads up that the zombies do continue to spawn, so don't get carried away with the end of the Easter egg and forget to watch your back. Once you pick up the Oracle key, congratulations, you have now completed Ancient Evil and the cutscene will play. I've linked the cutscene below in case you want to watch it, along with every single guide you will need for this Easter egg, as well as every photo that's featured in this guide. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Absalom, and I hope to see you in my next video.